What a disgusting person.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to Sissy Boys Podcast. I'm Dan Donahue.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
And I'm Cooper Lyden.
That's why I just did what I did.
Oh. It's
well,
hard.
you do that in conversation.
Yeah,
normally.
you often will be having a conversation. You'll be like, welcome to the Sissy Boys Podcast.
Well, it's important
I'm Dan Donahue.
It's important to get the word out.
You reintroduce yourself.
That'd be
very
so
often.
funny if I'm like, how are you, Dan? You're like, yeah, I'm pretty good. Welcome to the Sissy Boys.
Sometimes me and Dan are just hanging out, and then he'll just be like, "Hi, I'm Dan Donahue." I'm like,
I'm Dan
What if
Donahue.
you forgot?
I know. I totally know. Dan,
I'm going to start doing that in conversation.
Matt, what was that story you just told?
Oh, about the cat?
Yeah.
Well, did you guys know that all cats have HIV?
No.
Oh no, not the
You didn't-
not the bad joke that you told.
Well, because their paws.
Yeah.
And if anyone's watching and isn't getting it quickly, the joke is a play on words.
We
because-
lasted 45 seconds into this one before it became bad.
No, don't start thinking that, or
I
else
think it's
it'll
really good.
Really, thank you, Matt. I think this is fucking awesome. I think it's so fucking good.
But what were you actually asking, Matt?
I thought it was funny
think
that
that's what
story
you
you
were
told
asking.
Yeah.
about the lady.
And maybe you could
I
tell
said
it
I
again.
obviously said the story too. You knew.
Oh, no. I genuinely thought that that's what you were asking me. What story?
The
one
woman
you
who
just told.
with the cat.
Oh, my God. Oh, the circulating tweet that
You
was
remember-
like on Twitter. There's a tweet that's circulating, and the girl was like, I took a shit in my parents' cat's litter box as a joke, and my parents freaked out. And so they took the cat to the vet, and it turned out the cat had HIV.
Okay, so here's the issue with that, and I hate to be a party pooper. If she did that as a joke,
Get it?
then
Party pooper?
it's pretty funny. If she did that as a joke, then once her parents were bringing the cat to the vet, wouldn't she be like, "Oh, I shit in the litter"? Because it's like they're gonna pay $1,000. She's just gonna let her parent. What a sociopath!
Well, it's kind of funny to like drain your parents of their resources.
I guess that is true. Hey, in that case, there's a lot of comedians in LA that are actually funny that I thought less of before.
It's actually a radical move.
Yeah, that is radical socialism.
Yeah, because of like the comedians whose parents are actually like evil people, but like by taking their money and spending it on-
Entertainment in general, because those people are in music and art and acting too. We just
Yeah.
see the comedians.
Yeah, it is weird to like have, especially if you're like a painter.
I say go for it. I think that's sick.
You're
Do
like my
it.
dad.
Better than you being at like the helm of whatever Bear Stearns or something.
But we
like that.
talked
I think that's true. Yeah.
We talked about that that comic that we've seen at open mics who's like it's so bizarre. Their on stage persona is like this Natasha Leggero, like, ooh, I'm so fancy. Like I lay in like lounge, which it's funny from Natasha Leggero because she grew up trailer trash. So it's like
Exactly.
a character that she's doing.
Yeah.
But this kid is doing it, and then come to find out that this kid is a trust fund kid from an incredibly rich family in San Francisco and has never worked a
You
day in
talk
their
about
life.
what you know, baby.
It's
You
just
talk
so
about what you
like I
know.
would. There's no bit. It's just like, hey, I am a piece of shit,
Yeah. Right. And everyone's like, that's actually.
and I'm flaunting that I have a lot of money, not in a funny way. That would only be funny if you didn't actually have money.
It is very good. I mean, I think that shit is.
And I just can't. I don't understand why Brendan Schaub does that.
He came from a lot of money.
Yeah,
That's what people don't like about him is he's a trust fund.
that's
kid.
why the podcast is called The Tiger and the Pony.
You're mixing up so many things right now.
No, that's the name of the podcast. The
Yeah,
Tiger and the Pony.
What did we do for Mother's Day, Cooper?
I went to my mom's house. I gave her a card. I fucked up and didn't have a gift ready. But good news, my brother didn't even show up.
Oh God, was he supposed to?
Yeah.
Is he coming in town from wherever the fuck he lives?
Yeah, I mean, he lives in
The ocean.
He lives in San Diego, so like he could have driven up. but then
Oh, he literally didn't drive up.
yeah.
Not
Was
like
he planning on it?
It's not that he was late. He just did not.
It was one of those things where like it was like I'm going to come this time, I'm going to come this time, I'm going to come this time, until eventually he was like, I'll have more time if I came on Tuesday, and then didn't. And my mom is funny because she was like, I bet once he got off the phone, he was like, thank God I don't have to do that today. Because I think he was like hungover or something.
Uh-oh.
Just don't show up. That's so funny. How old is he?
It's like 28.
28. That's too young.
I
to
mean,
just-
you barely know how to walk at 28.
yeah, that's true.
But
Let
that
alone
means-
drive a car from San Diego.
that's
to,
so funny to just not show up. I mean, that lets you off the hook like crazy.
That means
huh?
I won Mother's Day.
You're the best son.
I'm the best son.
That's awesome. Good for you, dude.
But then it was
Congrats.
funny because she was like, well, you know, I mean, it's not the worst Mother's Day. And I was like, what happened on another Mother's Day? She's like, well, one of the Mother's Days your brother was in rehab. It kind of took a lot for me to
How
not...
is that not a good Mother's Day?
Well,
Your
that's-
son's getting better on Mother's Day?
It kind of took me a little bit not to be like, yeah, but that's good.
Right.
But also I would say...
you were like, you had no idea, but he was on heroin the last 3 before that.
Yeah, I mean, it was also like, well, yeah, I guess he didn't get clean from that rehab.
Right.
Which kind of sucks, because then it's just like, you just end up just having a shitty 2 months, and your family's like, so that, what, it didn't work?
It takes a couple times.
It does take a couple times.
Takes a couple times.
When he was in there was a guy that just got out of jail, and he kept treating rehab like jail, and was telling people, like, calling my brother, like, his bunkmate and shit.
Yeah.
And then being like, you gotta wash your ass, like, you gotta stay clean. Because in prison, if you don't clean yourself, you can get, like, your ass kicked.
Yeah, they'll
because
beat
you're
you up.
close to each other all the time.
Oh, because
So if
everyone
you-
has to smell you.
yeah, if you smell bad, and also it's just, I don't know, I'm sure there's a prevailing thing of, like, just because we're in prison doesn't mean we shouldn't.
And so
Want to,
COVID
you know,
was
be
kind
our
of
best.
a good thing for a lot of prisoners.
Because they couldn't shower?
No, because they lost their sense of smell.
Oh,
Oh.
interesting. Oh, the sneaky ones got to kind of
Yeah, I've actually, a lot of people believe that COVID was invented to make prison more enjoyable.
Right. I find that the powers that be are what their main concern is the comfort of people who are incarcerated in the American prison
I
system.
feel that too. We have one of the, our government works day and night to make that an enjoyable experience.
They really do.
Yeah,
Well, 'cause they make it-
particularly for people of color.
Yeah. No, I mean that's why they privatized it, because they were like, oh, if we have private ones, it'll be so
be-
much nicer.
They'll be
Yeah.
like, it'll be like McDonald's.
But they pass the buck on that, because there actually aren't that many private prisons. But people are like, oh, it's like, no, the non-private ones are also really bad.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
it's not like the issue with that is like McDonald's.
Yeah, it is funny because it's like the non-private ones. It's like, yeah, but the prisoners are still legally considered property.
Yeah,
so
of
it's like
course.
I think there's a bit of an issue from the start.
But if you
Yeah,
can
but-
afford to go to a private prison, you could get into a really good college.
yeah,
Right,
that is
right,
true.
right.
But I mean, the thing is why it's so comfortable in there is they make it simple. Like, don't you guys get annoyed of having like a mattress? Like, imagine if all you had to deal with was just a concrete slab that was built into the wall.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like you ever notice how like our toilet seats are like fucking humongous, and you're like, could this be like smaller?
big.
Sometimes
and
it hurts
colder?
my arm when I have to lift it up.
Fucking
Right.
exactly. So imagine if like you didn't even have a toilet seat to lift up. You just had like a really
It's
small.
so true.
Yeah.
It is so funny how we're just like, people are just like, yeah, you know, prison doesn't make people any better. No one would say that it does or even attempts to, but we're just like, yeah, it's cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Is there, have they, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's just funny that people that support prisons would never, they would never say it makes you better, but they will say like, well, people got to pay for their crime. And
Right.
it's like, but they could actually pay by like
By
they
joining a worse gang.
Could, yeah, like you could. That's
how you pay for
so
your crime.
funny. Where it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you can join this game, but you're gonna get your ass beat.
Have there been like cohesive, I'm sure there have been quite a few sociological, like, you know, ethnography or studies or whatever to determine that like prison does not help
Oh, of course.
people.
Yeah, tons.
Yeah.
Yeah, tons. Of course.
There
But
was
they just don't care.
There was
Like,
one story that it wasn't like a study,
So
but it was
wild.
about a guy that like got arrested, then he was in jail, and then there was like something where like he got bailed out or something, and they're like, but you gotta show up, or like you're gonna have cops come to your home and they're gonna arrest you. Like we're just
Right.
telling you that because that's gonna happen to make sure you go. And then there was some error where like they never came. Like he just never had to go to prison because they're so disorganized. And he was like, well, I'm not gonna call them.
Right.
and go to prison. If they want to come get me, they can.
Well, they lose people in like Twin Towers, that prison in downtown.
Exactly.
Like they literally like there's people there who are like their files got lost or whatever, and they're just stuck there.
Yeah,
like
it's fucking
oh my God.
terrible.
yeah, and it's like people who have like mental problems too who can't really advocate for themselves. But it's like there's been cases of people straight up getting like lost in Twin Towers.
Dude, I worked at a restaurant downtown, and it was like a 2 or 3 Michelin star restaurant, very close to
Right near there, yeah. That's how downtown works. Is there's like these incredible restaurants that are in like really.
And I would
weird
get there, and I would
areas.
show up like a fucking moron in like a little like, button
Yeah.
up and tie, and there would be a guy who literally like I would park my car, and he'd be like so disoriented, and I don't know how to not like ask someone about. I don't know. I was just like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, I just got out of prison, and he was
Right.
like, and he had nowhere to go, no money. Like it was so sad, and I was like, well, I have to go serve tuna tartare, so
Yeah.
Good
And they
luck.
like,
Dude, you can't come in.
and they set people up for failure
So-
because it's like they invented
course.
Skid Row as a place to dump homeless people, and then they also put all of the services that you need to go to once you get out of jail pretty much right around Skid Row, like parole offices and then also just like elective mental health shit.
Right.
And so pretty much it's like if you want to get better or even just stay on the track of not going back to jail,
You have to go to this place that was created as to be the most dangerous place.
Yeah, you have to stay around a place where getting drugs is like the easiest shit in the world.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, well, you got to stay clean. It's
And
like, what
then-
if you do crack?
And then you go to Beverly Hills, and there's just like there's no tents at all, and you're like, I wonder why that. I bet it's because they're super chill to
Yeah.
unhoused people.
Yeah.
they're in
I wonder why
they're in
fucking-
a prison of body image issues
What do you mean?
in
That is
Beverly
true.
Hills.
Yes, that's true.
That is true. God,
their
we
minds
never
are a prison.
think about that.
that is. I do feel like it's a form of self punishment
Yes,
for a lot of those
They
people.
can't
It's like
leave.
we've reached every mountaintop, so let's just like destroy.
live somewhere that has like no character.
Our
and
faces-
is completely shitty.
I'm like, if you're a rich person, if you have all this money, you're gonna live in the place you're supposed to live. Isn't having money to like do whatever you want, but instead you're gonna live in the place you're supposed to live. You're gonna live in Beverly Hills, you idiot.
Well, those are like the rich image people, where it's like the people that will wear like a Balenciaga T-shirt, but just because it says Balenciaga. Where
Yeah,
people are like,
exactly.
I have to do things that show that I am rich. Is that you?
yeah.
Because they were just arresting protesters. Like they don't respect people's ability
It's-
to
it's so
because it's its
insane.
own. People don't know this. Beverly Hills Police Department, like Beverly Hills, is its own thing that was created. Essentially, it's like a tax shelter for people or whatever. Like there's a reason why Beverly Hills isn't part of the city, essentially, and Beverly Hills Police Department is even worse than LAPD in terms of like how just corrupt they are and how they don't respect people's actual freedom. And they put an ordinance where people just couldn't protest. Like they were like arrest on site for any form of protest. And when asked why, one of the people in Beverly Hills Police Department said, "Many of our residents are Jewish and Armenian, and seeing groups of people together being loud and like together reminds them of the atrocities that befell their people."
That's a really good marketing strategy.
Isn't that a great marketing
the
strategy? Isn't
Beverly-
that a great
Argue with
PR
that,
move?
yeah.
But it's literally so funny to be like, protesting means the Holocaust.
I gotta get the Beverly Hills Police Department on my team.
And it's such a funny way to like justify essentially like fascism, like being like you can't protest, you don't have freedom of speech, is being like, yeah, we're doing this actually because we're the good guys.
Yeah, just breaking like several amendments.
It's
And,
so
like,
crazy.
Several.
Is it so? What they're doing is like federally illegal.
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm sure they find like workarounds
Yeah.
because that's how all kind of like.
There should be a prison in Beverly Hills.
There's a jail. I hung out around it for a long time trying to get people out.
And just to be clear, if there is a small community of rich people and they have a police force,
Oh, yeah.
that is just like that's like a death squad. That's like
Bolivian death
like
squad.
in 5 years, I think the Beverly Hills PD, there will probably be a video of them just marching in a line with AR-15s.
Oh, yeah.
Just shooting at like 15-year-olds.
Yeah, 100%.
Protesting.
Because
Right.
they're not wearing Balenciaga t-shirts.
Yeah, they have a Balenciaga only ordinance.
Dude, when if we're protesting in
Get that
Beverly
Reebok
Hills,
shit off.
we should wear really nice clothes.
Ooh.
And then if they try and shoot us, be like, I'm Jewish and Armenian.
Right.
And they're like, oh,
This is a Montclair, by the way.
yeah, this is Montclair. And they'll be like, oh, okay, well, like, we'll arrest everyone except you.
Except you.
Just
yeah.
show me your father's taxes. And then, we'll be able to
Show
make
us
it.
that he did tax evasion and you can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so crazy. It's like the government almost acts like Christians to where people be like, oh, I'm a Christian, but like, here's my loophole to be a virgin is to get fucked in the ass. And then like, these people in Beverly Hills are like, oh no, I'm a liberal, but here's my loophole to just install just like a complete degradation of
like the
of
most
rights.
far right possible ideology,
Yeah.
which is like you can't have freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Which is also, I mean, kind of if you go as far left as you can, also sort of there, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so crazy to me.
Can you are you able to look up whoever voted, like what they voted for?
No,
Is that
you
public
can't look
record?
up specific people, but
way.
you can look up like voting sections.
Like,
Yeah.
for instance, like if someone did vote Republican, like does that show up on public record?
Only for, I think it does for like certain public officials and people in government, but not for individuals. I think
you're maybe with individuals you're able to look up like if they're registered.
Yeah, maybe registered.
But-
Maybe if in an individual.
But are
you
you?
can look-
There's a lot
This
of
is such a
privacy.
dumb
We have
question,
no
but like,
idea.
are you able to vote without being like a registered Republican? Do you know what I'm saying?
No, you have to
I-
be registered as something.
Yeah.
Or you can be registered. You can be registered as like independent.
And then
But
vote.
I think that can kind of fuck you up if you end up wanting to vote for a Democrat.
This is a Lewis. You have a microphone.
The primaries
vote
are
in the primaries if you're not registered, but otherwise you don't need to. Be
Oh, okay.
registered.
And if you're registered,
Okay.
that is public information.
yes,
Lewis, if we're
Interesting.
talking like that in a circle and it's a Lewis question, go ahead and
Just
chime
butt
right
in,
in.
yeah.
Chime right
yeah,
in.
yeah. I mean,
If,
if we're obviously out of our league, which is
Yeah.
kind of any time we're not trying to do a joke.
Oh,
It's
and while
just-
we're doing jokes also. I'm
Bro-
sure I said 28 wrong things while I was talking about the Beverly Hills Police Department.
I was wondering about the anonymity of it because I'm sure a lot more people would be voting Republican if you couldn't look it up.
Right, totally.
But
Just
you
for
can't.
tax reasons.
Oh, yeah, just because to protect
would-
their money.
Like for instance, the Grammys, I believe, as of last year, made all voting anonymous, whereas you used to be able to know who voted for who. And I'm not joking, but I believe that is
Yeah.
why
Louis,
Louis C.K.
yeah, totally.
won the Grammy for Comedy Album, because enough people actually love him, but they would never admit it.
Right.
Similar to like all these celebrities who listen to like the Red Scare podcast, but like they're not allowed to tell people that they do.
Totally.
Like-
Well, yeah, no, that makes I don't think that's crazy to say at all.
Isn't that just like you feel like all celebrities do? Like Tom Cruise and like Matt Damon get together, and then Matt Damon is like,
Matt Damon.
I say, like, Matt Damon's just like, I say the N word so much. And then they just feel like orgasm.
Did
they
he
can,
say
like,
something?
I
like
don't
that
know.
that
recently,
they're
though?
bad people.
No.
What was the thing that he said that was really off color and kind
It
of
was
funny?
it was really funny. I don't think what he said was honestly.
Oh no,
that.
no, it wasn't.
I don't think what he said for like a middle-aged guy from Boston was that crazy, but he was
No.
like, I told a joke at the dinner table that included the word.
I say the N word.
No, yeah, that included that word, and my daughter told me like that was wrong, and then she essentially like wrote him a letter as to being like, well, this is why you shouldn't use that word even if you're kidding, and he was like, that was a big growing moment for me. Now I think that if you were to tell me that story, as I would be like, oh yeah, if you're like obviously you've been in entertainment long enough where you should probably know that, but also you're sheltered by being in entertainment because you're the biggest celebrity of all time. But it's like the funny thing about that was he was sharing it as like, here's how I'm a great guy. And anytime you're trying to tell a story as to like, this is a moment that I grew and became it's like, come on, man.
I mean, honestly, I don't I kind of liked hearing. I mean, it was like, hey, I'm a dumb older dude, and my daughter taught me something smart.
No, people piled on him really
But it
quickly.
was like really wild to be like, hey, I learned something, and everyone was like, well, fuck you for not knowing it from birth, or
Right.
whatever.
That is
and
what's
it's
kinda
like,
funny.
what?
Where he's like, no, like I did the thing we're talking about. And they're
Right.
like, Matt Damon.
I'm gonna
The
kill
guy
you.
from The Departed. I cannot believe that you thought that was okay to say.
Gay Will Hunting.
That's not the name of the movie.
Okay,
Gay Will
and
stunting.
he's like putting his dick in a guy's ass, and he's like, or a guy's sucking his balls, and he's like, how do you like them apples? And then Robin Williams is there, and he's like, you're beautiful.
You're beautiful.
It's not your fault. Is that a different movie?
No, it's not your
No,
fault.
no,
Oh,
you're
okay.
right. You're right.
Okay, cool.
You gotta have more confidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have confidence in the riff.
He's Matt Damon's crying, and Robin Williams pulls his pants down and starts licking his asshole.
Oh, yeah, like when he's
And
standing
like,
in front
licking,
of
he's
him.
like, it's not your fault.
Like he just starts.
That's not even clever.
He just.
It's
No,
not
that's
your
very
fault.
clever. What do you mean?
Matt Damon's just crying.
No, it's pretty funny
And
to
then they all
imagine
look at the
he's just
camera and they
like.
go, gay Will stunting. And then Minnie Driver comes out topless.
And then he goes like
and they're like, get out of here, you fucking topless woman.
when the university's closed, he goes in on the whiteboard and just draws like really detailed penises.
Ooh, that's
and everyone's like, Will, this is. How do you know how to do this?
This is the most beautiful penis I've ever seen.
You're just a janitor.
You're a genius.
Maybe we could
He
make
shows
a,
a
movie.
different position of how to hit the prostate that no one's ever thought of before. Yeah, under and then back over again. They're like, we've never seen anyone have gay sex. Quite
There's
like
got to
that.
be like a spoof movie like that already.
Where
Or
he's
there's
just like-
20
I'm sure
porn.
SNL did something at the time, don't you think?
Not
There's-
gay. They didn't do gay Will Hunting. No,
But
I can
like,
guarantee
like
you.
like someone had to have done like a a mock-up of that scene.
Yeah, of
where
course.
he's
Yeah,
on the
totally.
whiteboard.
Do you think you could win an altercation if like you're in like a how about them apples kind of altercation and then you just start fingering yourself? You know what I mean? If you're just like, how about them apples?
Why would
You
that
know?
win you? Why would that win you the altercation?
Just because I don't think a person would want to, even if they're mad at you and have a point to make, I don't think they'd want to keep talking with you if you started fingering yourself.
Totally.
Why?
Well, because then they're also probably thinking if we do fight, one of those fingers has poop on it, or at least traces of fecal matter.
What is with you guys not washing your asses?
What do you mean?
No, but I'm saying just inside, like
Cooper's
maybe.
just like ass is just pouring shit
no,
out.
no. I'm not talking about
You
washing
can't
or
stick a
wiping
finger
or
in
anything.
your ass without there being.
I'm
shit
talking
all
about
over
you
it?
probably have shit inside of your
All
ass
right,
now.
all right. That's enough of
He
this.
has shit inside of his
no,
ass.
No. We-
Look,
don't know.
look.
Listen, guys,
Not
we have
in
to
my
talk
life.
about astrology.
Not in
here.
my
Stick your finger up his ass. There'll probably be like a little,
not
poop
my
on it.
immediate retainer. Okay.
What the fuck does that mean?
So, Matt, you wanted to talk about astrology and
It's not like I
spirituality.
wanted to talk about.
Well, that's what you were the
Okay,
one who
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
have to
I
be
am.
embarrassed.
Also, wait. We talked about what Cooper did. We should say what everyone did for Mother's Day. What did you
Oh,
do?
right. We only did Cooper.
Your mother's a bricklayer.
Okay, wait. Let's restart again.
Oh, did you gift her some bricks?
3, 2, 1.
Please include
Okay,
that.
so I, for Mother's Day, texted my mom, "Thank you for not aborting me."
And he texted that after I told him, "Did you text your mom today?"
Yeah, Cooper reminded me.
Did
and
you text that?
Yeah, I texted that because my mom is
My mom would
very.
be so pissed.
Oh, and she said, you two are the best thing that ever happened with me. Happened to me. With that being said, take your ban off my body! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Very funny.
That's very funny.
Very very funny.
Nice work, Mrs. Donahue.
No, she's great. She is very like hands off when it. We all are when it comes to like holidays and stuff. We'll just call each other and be like, "Hey, happy whatever." That's pretty much all we do as a family. We don't like. We'll do dinners together, but just not for holidays. We'll just kind of have them.
That's nice. It's like low pressure. It's like
Low
actually
pressure.
more about enjoying each other.
What do you mean just kind of have them? Like you will meet?
Yeah,
Do you meet?
Like when I'm home from LA, like we'll have dinner and hang out and stuff. But it's never like, oh, I have to be home for like X. I have to be home for my birthday or your birthday or blah blah blah. We just don't care.
Yeah, there are a lot of people where it's like, I think you have to find a middle ground of like making sure you keep those family ties strong. But there's also some people that are like, I gotta fly home. And I'm like, man, it's fucking Father's Day. Like you got to be in
calm
Wyoming
down
for this.
Yeah, relax.
You should just be nice to your dad.
You're gonna buy a plane ticket on the most expensive day there is to buy a plane ticket for what? To show how cool of a son you are. It's like relax.
Everyone is flying on Father's Day.
Relax. I was thinking more for Christmas.
No.
We're all getting on a plane for Father's Day.
Father's Day is the busiest holiday of the year.
We're going up to Anchorage, Alaska, where all dads live.
Man, the difference between Father and Mother's Day is so funny. And it makes a lot of sense because too many dads are kind of backseat.
Bell Hooks talks about this in her book, The Will to Change, where she goes, because men are withholding of love, people initially heavily seek their father's approval, but then learn to not seek it anymore and learn to not show love when love isn't being shown to them.
Yikes, that's real.
And then that's even funnier because then you get your dad a mug that's like, best dad ever.
Right.
But really what the mug means is like, I don't know what to get you.
I don't know who you
I
are.
don't know who. Do you ever have those moments with your parents where you're like, do I know you? You know what I mean? Because like once you start realizing they're people, you're just like, oh, we don't talk enough.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like in the past few years, my relationship with my mom has like kind of changed because I'm seeing more like why she acts the way she acts. And like, she's a very like
Crystal meth.
well, you would think, but she's very like happy and positive and like she has like rocks in her
We're on a
house.
pot. Wait, hold on one second.
It's so funny that you
It's a smoking alternative.
Just smoke.
Yeah, you should just smoke.
Just
If
smoke.
this is what we're doing now, Matt, I would start
What?
smoking.
This isn't bad for my lungs.
We don't.
What are
just
you, a
smoke.
conductor?
Yeah.
No, but I'm
relax.
about to ride my bike from San Francisco to Los Angeles, and I don't want to smoke.
Is Cooper boring you that much that you have to start whistling through your
You have to
necklace?
start fake smoking.
You know, I just wish someone would ask me about my Mother's Day.
I'll give you.
but
We were getting to it.
Yeah, we're talking about
That
my
was the
Mother's
whole-
Day.
I was kidding. I'm enjoying everything. Nothing was wrong.
You should smoke a cigarette right now.
I
Do you
just
want a
wanted to
cigarette
take a deep breath.
in your
a lot of
home?
times people don't even realize they don't even like smoking. They just like taking deep breaths.
Interesting.
What if
Whoa.
you just saw me on the side of the street and I'm just like,
What if you saw me on a podcast and I was just like,
I would be confused. Even if you don't hear it, is people still watching of like, because it looks like something you would have for Coke, but then you just put
everyone
it in your
thinks
mouth.
that. Yeah,
Right.
it's either for Coke or conducting an illegal abortion.
No.
It's too small for that.
Well, not the girls that I date.
Be
Does anyone
honest
want
with
to
it.
ask me about my Mother's Day?
You didn't do anything for it, did you?
I did something really sweet.
What'd you do?
What was that?
Have you guys ever seen the sitcom MASH?
No, I mean, I know what
Have
it
you heard
is.
of it?
No.
I know where they
It was
filmed
like
it.
one of the best, considered one of the best sitcoms of all time. It was 10 seasons. It's about nurses in the Korean War. And it
Oh
went,
yeah.
and it went on like 5 years longer than the actual war.
Right.
Yeah, have fun with your imperialist show.
So my mom loves that show MASH, and my mom when growing up she would always play like the VHSs and then the DVDs or whatever. She had them like recorded and stuff. But I was helping a friend clear out his warehouse, and he was like Billy Bob Thornton's like stand-in in all these movies, and like I just say that in that, like, you know, he was in the industry and he has like random stuff because he's like in his 70s now, just things he's collected over the years. But I found there was like a binder and it had the words MASH on the cover, and it was every storyline, like it was all the storyboards for every episode of MASH. And I like Googled it and you can't find that anywhere. It was just like a whole container of it. It must have been like from the archives or something.
Wow.
But I just sent it to my mom.
That's nice.
Right?
What did she say?
She's like, "What the fuck is this?" No.
What the fuck, you idiot?
She's like, "Wow, I wish you were dead."
Right.
She was like, "Cool, what's MASH?"
But she did actually love Matt.
No, she called me and she was like, "This is so incredible. Thank you. I love it." It was very sweet.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
I thought
First-
it was like a really like I was like, "Oh, this is a great gift."
Yeah, no, that's
like,
a great gift.
So, like one of a kind, like very special.
Yeah.
It was cute. And we
Do you
just
think that
had a-
maybe next Mother's Day you could just tell her for one day that you're straight?
Yeah. That would be a really funny prank.
That would be a little. Well, it's not a prank. It's more of a gift because for one day she gets to feel what that would feel like.
That she was not a failure.
Yeah, that she was not a failure. Do you
you
think she
guys
feels
have
like a failure?
No.
No.
Do you guys
Well,
have a good relationship? Did
my
they have
mom?
did they have a problem with the gay?
Yeah, I mean it's nuanced and very complex because my parents deeply believe that it is not okay. It's a sin to act out. I get that's
Yeah.
what they would call it.
Okay, yeah.
So they believe that I'm going to hell for sure.
Right.
Sure.
But they love me very much and we have a good relationship.
Yeah.
When in 2015 when all the like Trump election stuff was going on, I like started spiraling because like my parents both voted for him, and it's not like the end of the world, but at the time emotionally I couldn't like there's too much going on, and my parents were still like always sending me passive aggressive stuff about being gay, and I just sort of imploded. But I sent them an email and I was like, hey, I don't feel like I'm able to love you as people right now, and I need to not communicate with you. And so I asked them to not reach out, and I blocked them on everything. And I was like, if you need me, I have 4 siblings. You can, contact them and they can contact me. And so I didn't talk to them for like probably 8 or 9 months. And that was like the most invaluable thing for our relationship, because I never like developed boundaries around what was okay and not okay for them to like ways that we communicate, And then after that time, like I was like, oh, I miss my mom and dad. Like it would be nice to talk to them. So then I reached out because I was like, oh, I genuinely want to talk to these people. It's not an obligation.
Yeah.
And so I reached out and I was like, hey, like, I'd like to be a part of your life. My friends and people in my life, like, we respect each other and want the best for each other. And if you guys want that, great. Otherwise, like, I'm okay. I don't need your money or anything because you don't have any because you're poor. And if you had money, I wouldn't have cut you off. And and then they're like, okay, yeah, we want to be your friends. And so like, it's been a really like I think we have a really great relationship. I'm very lucky.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
That's funny when people are like, you don't have an obligation to talk to your family, and then in your case you're like, yeah, why did you wait till Thanksgiving to make a big deal about that?
Right.
It's like just if you're annoyed, it's gonna get worse.
Oh yeah.
You made a good move. Yeah, you were like,
I don't know how I had the emotional clarity and maturity to do that. Also, I don't know how that came from, because I wasn't saying like, you guys fucking suck, I'm not talking to you. It was
Definitely.
like, I realized I'm not giving anything.
Yeah. I mean, that's a smart move, because so many people were like, oh, yeah, like the Trump thing has torn apart families. Like my uncle like didn't come to like Christmas for a few years, and it kind of ruined like my uncle and my other uncle's relationship.
Damn, he loved Trump that much.
I mean, he's a bad
He just couldn't
guy.
stop talking about it.
It sucks because he's like a guy that is just has a lot of charisma and is like cool to be around. Like he quit smoking and then he just started smoking again, and my mom was like, what happened? He was like, nobody likes a quitter. And like, you know what I mean?
funny.
Did
He's
you
like a cool guy.
introduce him to the windpipe?
You should have shown him the windpipe.
He is a guy that
smoking.
his brain would break about the windpipe. But I mean, he's like a bad person. He did shit, and then I was like, oh,
Are you gonna regret
like,
saying that on the podcast?
No, I wouldn't regret it. It's just so fucked up. He runs a business that is like a working class. Like they fix shit in houses,
Sure.
essentially. And he fucking, if he loses a bid to another company, a lot of those workers are illegal.
Oh, I know
illegal
exactly
immigrants,
what you're gonna
and he will
say.
then call ICE on that company and get these guys that are
I've-
not.
I know
even-
guys who do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I heard about that, and I was like, oh, yeah, I can't be around him. Where I was like, I don't think there's any way, which sucks because he's like affable and nice or whatever. But I was like, I don't think I can't sit at a table
really
with this
sucks.
guy and not be like, so you ruin like people's lives?
Literally,
Because that's like
ruined
the
their
biggest
life.
effect he's had in his whole life.
Oh
if
yeah,
you think about it.
If you think
Like,
about the stamp he has on the world, it's ruining people's lives.
the amount of like families that he
Yeah,
is just
literally.
further, like people that came all the way from like South and Central America
and
like,
are working.
and are working
They're not
thousands
like,
of miles.
They're not like fucking like what conservatives idea like. Even though if you want to come to America and not work, I think that's fucking fine too. Who cares?
I don't give a
But it's like,
shit,
I don't give
yeah.
a shit. But they literally are working a job.
A job that people don't want.
Yeah,
A
literally.
job that's not awesome, and a
Probably
job.
so funny.
underpaid as well.
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's like not a lot of upward mobility because they don't have like
Not a lot of paid
citizenship.
time off.
Yeah, no, they don't have a lot of mobility in it. And he's already like, well, sorry, your boss did something that has nothing to do with me, but it's
Yeah.
time that I further ruin you. So anyway, that kind of shit happened.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, but that's why it's like,
People don't know how common that is. Like contractors and stuff will use the fact that people are using illegal workers as leverage points, or for their own businesses. There was this dude who I heard the story from Jeff Carasalis, but there was this dude who owned a concrete company, and there's a thing that they do in concrete, like when you're doing, I think it's a foundation or something, but it's called the float, where they bring this, like when you're all done, they smooth out the concrete. Essentially, it's like the last thing, and it takes every guy to do it or whatever. And he was like, they do the float, and then hours later, ICE shows up and takes the workers, so they don't have to pay them.
Shut up.
Yeah, I swear to God. Yeah, it happens all the
Jesus
time. I mean, it's
fucking
evil.
Christ.
It's literal evil,
That
but
is
it's like
horrible.
But that's the thing is you think, having like a difficult path to citizenship is like whatever the best thing for the United States or however you call it. It's like really the people who are getting fucked over are the people who are actually, working and benefiting this country. And like they use that as a leverage point to be like, oh, well, now you're gone. Bye-bye.
It's also just funny how like capitalism will sometimes just directly ruin people's
I'm
lives.
glad you brought that up. I hate capitalism.
Okay,
Yeah, Matt, you were going to say
big
this.
news.
Go ahead.
I don't want to go anywhere that has capitalism, and all I want to do is eat pizza
That's why you don't buy
and
stuff.
have sex with my tight girlfriend.
You're like, I will live under a socialist.
Why can't we all just like
government
eat pizza and hang out?
as long as there's pizza?
Do you remember that fucking piece of shit that I got in that argument with outside of Eno Vino about
my
cocaine?
name is Matt.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my God. There was this guy that we all know who I was outside of Eno Vino and they were talking, or I was talking to Cooper. They were in the conversation. And I was talking to Cooper and I was like, yeah, I'd feel weird doing cocaine because I just watched like a documentary on cartels and stuff. And I was like, I would feel weird doing cocaine because you can't really track where cocaine comes from. And chances are like it's from like a cartel
It's
or
also
whatever.
like a statistic that like multiple people die for every gram.
Yeah,
of cocaine
exactly.
you get.
Yeah. So I said that, and then this person who was not part of the conversation turns and goes, "Oh, that's what you think?" And I was like,
Oh my god.
and I said, "What?" And he was like, "Oh, you know that there's no such thing as
Ethical consumption under capitalism.
He goes, there's no such thing as ethical consumption under capitalism.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but there's degrees of ethics.
That's like
right.
the biggest scapegoat to be like, you know what? I can be a huge piece of shit because everything is shitty.
Yeah,
Well, the
because
thing
I
is,
can't
why
fix
don't-
everything.
People
I'll
hear
do
that.
nothing.
People hear that like there's no, and it's true, but they're like there's things that are unethical and that are kind of bad, and there are things that are unethical and are really bad. It's like
are beyond your control.
if there was like a company that sold water bottles and for every water bottle they shoot a kid in the face, that's worse to buy than getting like a pair of socks from a grandma who knits them.
And also,
Like,
just cocaine doesn't have to exist at
Well,
all.
that's
It's
the
like,
funny
there's
thing.
no
Necessity.
functional
it
reason.
was such a cokehead thing to say, where it's like, actually, you're as bad as me because you buy Dasani.
that person is a UC Berkeley grad who pretends to look poor so that they're interesting when they come
Right.
from an incredibly rich family and has never said a single funny thing on stage ever.
That was one of the 2 times you've seen me mad in public. It was that and then Flappers.
because they were being so. When was that? Because they were being so
that's so
condescending,
fucking
and your
stupid.
only point was like, "Yeah, man, it's kind of hard to make all of your purchases ethical under the system we're in, but I don't think that means I should do cocaine." Where it's like, if you live under the system, there's just like a constant guilt where almost everything you buy
Right.
is like ruining someone's life. And so
would-
you try and avoid companies that are terrible, but none of that means cocaine is fine.
I also just said at a certain point, like, don't fucking talk to me.
Yeah,
like
you
this.
did. Yeah, you did.
I was like,
You stopped it
don't.
pretty quickly.
I was
What
like,
were you
don't
gonna say?
talk to anyone like this.
Yeah. That's why you were mad, because he was like, "Oh,
he
you're
just
wrong."
walks around chiming in conversations, being like, "Nothing's ethical,
like a
under
wood
capitalism.
nymph, like a coke addicted wood nymph.
Nothing's ethical under capitalism."
Nothing is ethical.
He's just
under
doing
capitalism.
blow outside of a Walmart. He's like, "I'm not going in there though."
He
I
pops
will
out of
not.
a tree stump.
Nothing's ethical under. No, I was gonna say that I was on a show on Friday, and I told the audience that for the first time in 2 years I had tried cocaine, and everyone started cheering in the audience. And I just looked at everyone and I was like, do you realize the effects that it has on the global south?
That's so.
And people
So
like
you to
got
say.
so. I was like, you guys are cheering. I was like, wow, I thought y'all were woke or whatever.
Right.
And people like didn't know what to do with it. It was cute.
It is so funny how there are.
And then I
like,
kept like bringing it back throughout the set where I would mention Coke again. I'll be the global south. Like people would.
That's what's very funny about you, because I think that you're very cogent and accepting of like when you do things, you kind of know like, oh, this is kind of like a bad thing that I'm doing. But when other people do those same things, a lot of times they'll justify it, but you don't really justify in your own head a lot. I feel like you're way more honest and quick to be like, oh, this is like a bad little thing I'm doing. I think you live a better life because of it.
I would
Totally.
like to thank you. I think that's very kind to say. When I especially on stage or anything, I try to think of anything that would bring me shame in my personal life. I want to bring to the forefront. So it's
Right.
like instead of me pretending like this is something good that I'm doing, I'm being like, hey, I did this thing that I told myself I wouldn't do again.
Yeah.
Right.
And I did it, and it's bad.
No, that's the thing. Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's
No,
like
yeah.
I think you're probably going to say the same thing, where it's like because you put that in the right compartment in your brain of like, oh, that was a bad thing I did tonight. You're less likely to do it like over and over and over again. It feels.
I hope so.
Yeah.
You kind of want to
And
shame yourself.
I would
out of
hope
it.
that, like, by saying stuff, I mean, God, it sounds like I'm a fucking motivational speaker.
You
But
are.
I would hope that by, like, what I love about stand-up, or the thing that originally, like, drew me to it, where I was like, oh, my God, these people are, like, being honest about, like, the shitty things they do. And it makes other people feel less alone, but it also makes you be like, oh, I've done that before. And it doesn't make you go, oh, I want to be a huge piece of shit. You just, like, are able to identify and you feel less alone. And that makes you want to be a better person.
Yeah.
It also feels good because it's like I have a part of me that
Cocaine.
will like. It does make me feel good, but it's like I have a part of me that will like flippantly like share personal information. And sometimes I think it's like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do that. But there's also such a freedom to just being
Oh
like,
yeah.
and sometimes it can be selfish where like you need to be understood too much. But then there just is that level where you're like, we don't have to lie about,
Right.
like, we don't have to lie. But I feel like we feel similarly about drugs because anytime I ever do drugs, I'm always like, I know why I'm doing this. I'm sad. You know,
Right.
which is funny because it's like I feel like I see other 22-year-olds and they're like, we're having a good time. But I've never been able to do drugs or alcohol and in my head been like, this isn't for a deep-seated negative reason.
Right.
You know why you're doing it, which is probably not the same with you necessarily.
No.
It's
I
a
mean,
different
I just
kind of-
remember before I got sober, I'm not sober anymore, but I was for a period. But before I did, every time I would go out, I would literally be doing things and having an out-of-body experience being like, what is the purpose of me? I know that I'm trying to disassociate and I'm trying to run away from my problems. Like I was very aware of that. And I was like, why do people do this every weekend? Like, what is the point?
Damn.
Like, where does this go?
Maybe that's what's good about like meditating and shit, because it just makes drugs awesome.
Yeah, whenever you do drugs,
Jesus
I
Christ,
just look at you
Dan.
and I'm like, this guy is so lucky.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
And it's not that you don't do a huge amount of work to make that happen, but I look at you and I'm like, man, that's crazy when drugs are just
You have done a
positive.
lot of groundwork in your life and you're quite a stable person. Capricorn sun, Capricorn moon.
Capricorn moon. I have a Capricorn stellium. I have a whole stellium.
What's a stellium?
It's like when you have a bunch of planets in the same
Do you?
place. Oh yeah.
You're a bunch of Capricorn?
Yeah, a bunch.
Yeah, you're the goat.
I'm
I'm a Capricorn too.
That's
But
what allows me to take ecstasy and walk to Silver Lake and get a massage and just feel great.
and a non-sexual massage at that.
oh yeah.
You walked to Silver Lake?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like that's a great place to be at in your life. And honestly, I would say that is the best version of like why drugs aren't essentially bad. It's like, oh, this is a life-enhancing thing, but within moderation, blah blah blah.
Right.
If you're at a stable place and you work hard, like it's good to enjoy life.
Yeah, change your brain up a little bit.
Yeah, but not like not disconnect from reality so much that you like are a shitty person.
An influencer company just
Yeah.
gave me these like mushroom edibles, and I was gonna ask them if they wanted to be a sponsor of the podcast. I don't know if they do that, but that would be an awesome sponsor to have.
that would be so cool because also whatever the chemical is in mushrooms, do you know-
Psilocybin.
Cillian Murphy, the actor from Batman Begins. Kill me, Murphy. Brittany Murphy, the chemical in mushrooms is a great thing for your brain.
I feel.
Took a
That's
long-
what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Mushrooms make me feel like Brittany Murphy. I did like how long that's
Jesus Christ.
is good for your brain.
Oh, yeah,
It makes you feel-
in the mushroom, good for your brain.
Do you guys? I was talking to my friend about this last night, and I don't want this to be like a fucking drugs are cool thing. Like people who don't do drugs are fucking nerds. But do you ever like when you meet people that have never like done mushrooms or acid or DMT? They've never done anything where you're sort of like. There's just a certain part where you're like never. You know what I mean? Where it's like
sober person. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's just interesting that it's like you can take this drug that will like make you feel like you can access a whole different kind of reality. And a lot of times, not that it's, perfect, like only a good thing, but there's so many like insights you can get from that. And it's like, you're not even curious. Like even just the fact that you can look at a wall and see a pattern on it, it's like that's never occurred to you it's so different than not being on acid, that it's like that change was never interesting to you. None of it.
Well, I think people are kind of misled by because
They're not that crazy of
but
drugs,
people see
but they are.
people see like TV versions of what the drug is, and that how like it's weird that they call it a hallucinogen because you do hallucinate a little bit in a drug. Like when you're taking a drug, like there's a little aspect of hallucination, but when I think of hallucination, I think like, oh, I'm going to be seeing colors and shapes or like a dragon or something. Mm-hmm. And then you actually do acid and it's like, oh no, this is just a 4K view of how shitty your life is and how you have to change it. It's like, oh, I thought I was going to hallucinate. I didn't know I was going to get the clearest picture of all time of my life.
Yeah, it is funny because sometimes like the other day at work, like I just took mushrooms, not like a crazy amount, but like 3 small clumps.
Oh, you're trying to cover your ass here?
And no, I
didn't do a ton of mushrooms
just
at
to
work.
explain how my head was.
You
for people.
microdose.
No, it was definitely
bigger
not
than a micro.
It was not micro. It was like I don't know, maybe like
You're trying to cover for.
it was maybe a gram or so. I don't know, but it's like
That's
I
a
do
lot,
that.
actually.
I
Did
do
you
that.
say this on the podcast?
Who cares?
What are they gonna do? Arrest me?
Yes.
Dave Chappelle's drunk.
I didn't say I bought it. Also, I'm lying.
Oh, right. You're lying for the podcast. Okay.
Also,
Go on.
they're legal in Portland, and that's where he works.
You work at the Portland Comedy Store.
No, I don't even have a job. But anyway, it's like I'll like take mushrooms purely like in the way I'll take like alcohol to like escape. And sometimes it can work, but then other times, you're just 4 hours later, you're just like, I'm so fucked up.
shouldn't have done
I
that."
fucking hate myself so goddamn much. And then like a lot of times I'll be on mushrooms and I'll be like, man, the fact that I am on mushrooms right now is such a sign of things going wrong.
Ugh.
And then you just have to be on mushrooms and feel the shame.
I do not like that. I would never want to do them unless I had nothing to, like, no obligations. I
Yeah.
would hate to have to be at work and do mushrooms.
Totally.
I will say, and pushing back against what you said,
Well, it's a kind of job,
when you do a certain amount of hallucinogens, is that what they're called?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not smart. You do have an altered reality.
Yeah, but I feel like that altered reality is a lot closer to reality than.
There's like, if you do like enough K and you like go into a K hole, like I have been in like I'm a very like logical person, and it's like, okay, this isn't whatever, but like the first time I went to a K hole, I thought I was out of the universe, and I was like searching for something to grab to bring me back to Earth, and I didn't know if I would ever come back to Earth.
Ketamine, I feel, is a little bit different than.
It's a disassociative.
Yeah, it's not hallucinogen.
But I haven't. I know what you're saying. When I've done mushrooms or acid, I have a euphoric feeling,
Right.
And things do feel more vibrant, like more vibrant colors and stuff. But I was waiting for like you said, like I was like, oh, I want to see like
that's literally
like a magical element.
The reason
appear.
I say that is functionally, scientifically, like that's how acid works. Is it actually doesn't alter things? It just takes because your brain is like a filtering tool. Like it takes sounds and colors and lights and it filters them in and it makes sense of them. It turns them into like a chair and a plant and mat and like words and stuff. But what acid does is it takes that filter and expands it. so it lets more stuff in. It's literally like
that's
you're
really cool.
experiencing
That's a
more
cool way of describing
reality.
it.
Yeah. Well, it's like the functional.
It's like an
what it does.
aperture of a camera or something where it's just like it's
Right.
a vacuum and it's like able to suck in more stuff than.
Speaking of
You
sucking
know
more
what?
stuff, what's something gay you did this week?
Last night I sold JELL-O shots to raise money for AIDS.
Oh, wow.
Well, not for AIDS.
That's
For every JELL-O shot you buy, I kept telling people as a joke, and no one thought it was funny. But I was like, "You just gave one person AIDS."
You were in a gay bar telling people that they gave other people AIDS.
Yeah, like there were probably 2 out of like 60 people who thought it was funny.
right.
But well,
that's not
3.
bad.
you told 60.
3 if you
So
count
funny.
me.
There were 2 Matt LeGrands in that
But
group.
God, it's so funny. So I was selling JELL-O shots, just like I was wearing like a tank top that day or whatever, and it was
cute.
pretty good. It's a good appeal. You go up and you're like, hey, I'm raising money I'm doing the AIDS life cycle ride, biking from SF to LA. All the money goes to the LGBT center. Would you like to buy a JELL-O shot for $3, 2 for $5, 3 for $20? And I would always do that. People thought it was cute or whatever.
It is cute.
And then they're like, and I would be like, if you don't like him, you're welcome to just donate. Whatever. I sold some shots. And then my boss was like, you should get in like your biking gear.
Oh yeah.
So I put on like a singlet, like a
So
bicycle
smart.
singlet. And then he gave me a limp dildo. It's like a wobbly dick.
Yes.
And I
put it in the bike
I
shorts.
put it in my shorts, and it looked like I had like
Fucking huge cock.
it was just like very abrupt on the side.
Right.
Why?
And it's like not a stiff dildo, so it doesn't look. It literally looks just like a bunched up dick.
Why
Right.
do they? Is that why they make those? Because I was in a sex shop and I was like, you can't really fuck yourself.
I
with
was
this.
thinking
Do
about it.
people
I-
just suck them?
No. I think it's often for trans men or people. Like you can
Oh.
put it in your pants because it just helps you.
Yeah, it's
feel,
affirming.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Interesting.
great.
like you have a yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
That's great.
I know, like, I also know, like, if you've seen Boys Don't Cry, you know that movie, Hilary Swank's character would put, like, stuffed socks in their underwear to, like, make it, like,
Yeah.
give them a bulge.
Right.
But anyways, I had a fake dick in my singlet, and oh my God,
We should have one on the table.
I have it over there. I almost brought it. But one guy was like, I'll give you $5 if I can put it. Like, he was like, can I put it anywhere I want? And then like they were all like kind of woke guys, and they're like, this is actually really weird, and we're objectifying you. And I was like, I'm actually kind of enjoying it.
Right.
And it was like 3 like middle-aged guys who were like not predator. They were just
Sure,
being
yeah.
silly. But he was like, okay. And the one guy like put it you couldn't even see my ass. He just like slipped it down. And then the other guy was like, I want to put it anywhere. And he puts his hand in my crotch.
Whoa.
And then I was like, my first thought wasn't like, oh no, his hand's in my crotch. My first thought was like, he's gonna find my fake dick.
My fake cock. You wouldn't have cared.
It's kind of funny too if you find a fake dick, because then you would pull it out and then you'd be like, you still have a dick down there.
Yeah. Ooh, 2 for 1.
But yeah, I got like $275.
Salute.
Or
Good for you, buddy.
something. And yeah, we're gonna cure AIDS.
Cooper, can you tell us something Pan you did?
Yeah. That same night I did mushrooms, I did an amount of mushrooms that made it that I had to cancel having sex with someone.
Yes, I remember.
Because I was
this.
like, I am on mushrooms. And then it kind of sucked because they were obviously offended.
They were
Oh.
pissed.
And then I felt bad about it, but then I was on mushrooms. And then the rest of the night was like, you fucking piece of shit.
Well, you're never gonna get anything right.
You goddamn, you keep disappointing people. Because it's a long thing in relationships where people feel unloved and not cared by me.
Was it that person that you've been having sex with?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was planning to have sex
It's
with
also
that
just
person I've
like,
been having
hey,
sex with.
I did mushrooms.
Right.
I'm sorry that this happened. But then, like, I would have hoped in an ideal world that you would have been like, I did mushrooms. I should try to just enjoy this experience because it is what it is.
Right.
It was
Like,
too late
what
for
a
that.
horrible.
Not in Cooper's head.
It was like, you don't deserve to have fun.
I did
You're an
mushrooms.
asshole.
I should enhance my torture.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do when I do mushrooms. It's like, let's just really feel bad. What did you do that was straight?
What did I do that was straight?
Why are you laughing, Lois? I don't know. You don't recognize Dan's heterosexuality? Not really. As legit.
That's fucked up.
You are fake news.
I've been having what I've told my girlfriend is the Tit Renaissance.
Please
Enlighten us.
explain.
Um,
You were so quiet to the point that you thought I would be like, yes, of course.
Yeah, I thought you would know what I meant. Like, I've started to appreciate tits much more because my girlfriend really likes tits. And I've started to. I used to never really be into tits. I used to be all ass. I don't care if you have like 0 tits. That's completely fine. And I still don't care. But I've also just kind of started growing an appreciation for big ass tits.
I have tits, Dan. Do you like me?
Do you want to suck them?
Do you appreciate me now?
Would you like to suck them?
Oh wow, your sunburn is bad, Cooper. Also, your nipples look like
The concave, right?
They look like they were. They look like post-op nipples.
They were pressed
This
in.
one, but this one doesn't really concave.
And then that one.
I had a
that
friend
one
in
is
middle
completely
school who
concave.
had concave nipples, and he said it was because he would always say, "My nanny, when I was little, forgot to pop them."
Oh.
Like it was like her job to.
I've
fuck does
literally
that
dated
mean?
girls with like tits about that size, and I've been fine with it. So it's not an issue. But I've just started to. I like to feel like I haven't been losing anything. I've just been gaining something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't lost appreciation for women with small ass tits. I've simply also gained appreciation for women with big ass tits.
Would you say you're still more of an ass man?
Yeah, definitely.
But now you kind of want them to have an ass on their chest.
No, I don't want it. I just have started to also appreciate it. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
What if they had like instead of breasts, they just had 2 giant ass cheeks,
I mean, that's the best of both worlds.
but they pooped out of them too?
I mean, that hasn't bothered me yet.
It would probably be gross if tits were where the ass cheeks are.
Can I ask, do you you don't have to answer this, but does your girlfriend enjoy ass play on her end?
Not like a ton, like in moderation.
Have you dated girls who enjoy ass play?
Actually, not really. Not one.
I just find it
Loser.
fascinating when straight women enjoy
One of my
Not
long-term
that your girlfriend's
girlfriends
straight,
really
but-
liked using a butt plug, but
on herself.
yeah, on herself. But that's it. But that was during sex because I think it just makes like the experience a little bit more intense when someone's having sex with you, but you already have that pressure.
Yeah, it's
That's what
like
they said.
the constriction or
Right.
whatever. That makes sense. It's
We
actually
should-
like the idea behind like when people like put ropes or like binding. It's actually like clogging your blood vessels, so it like everything is more.
Interesting.
The sensation is. I got tied up one time. It was intense.
We should do the show in bondage.
Yeah. No, or me and Matt doing it in bondage and you beat us the whole time.
You were dressed in all latex with that really scary mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, don't interrupt
Shut
me.
up, bitch.
Don't interrupt me.
Or we have to wear those. The guys wear them on like ChatterBait, where they have like an electric butt plug, and if he presses the button, it vibrates.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, I was going to say we should do it in butt plugs, or we should do those ones where fans can.
But I have it in my mouth. I have it in my ass, and Dan's mouth is sewn to my ass.
my God.
And whenever it vibrates, it electrocutes him.
That would be a good place to leave off. Oh, wait, we have to do the
We have
shout-outs.
to. Joseph Schmidt.
Joseph Schmidt, if you have any thoughts about my body, please DM me.
Yeah, he wants to see more nip slips from all of you.
Did he say that?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Pia Mia.
You can pee in me anytime you want to.
And then
That was so stupid. Oh my God. She's the best.
who is she?
This is I was at Cafecito Organico the other day, and this like awesome girl named Adrian came up, and she was like a fan of mine.
Aww.
And she was so sweet, and we just talked for a little bit. She's from Arkansas,
Beautiful.
and I want to go there sometime and perform. But yeah,
If
such
anyone,
a sweet person.
If anyone is watching, please come up to me on the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah, come up to Cooper on the street.
You don't have to even compliment me. Just.
You can also come up to me on the street, but mostly Cooper.
He gets a lot of people like Dan already.
Yeah.
Public attention.
Public
is
attention
what I
for
need.
Cooper.
When this person, when she came up to me, I was with my friend, and he was like, "Oh, shut up!" And but he. At first, that was his reaction because he thought it was one of my comedian friends making a joke, being like, "Oh my God, Matt!" Like pretending to be fanboying.
Yeah.
It was funny.
All right, everybody, thank you for listening to the podcast.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's
Thanks
Day.
for not aborting us.